A Beautiful Mind, starring Russell Crowe, tells the incredible story of John Nash, who was a Princeton mathematician that suffered from schizophrenia. It is by far one of my favorite movies because it teaches two things that are profoundly true about the human race. Number one, we all have a beautiful mind, and number two, we're all schizophrenic. Now, I know that may sound crazy, no pun intended, but just hear me out, and I'm sure you'll see what I mean. To begin with, I want to emphasize that we all have a beautiful mind. The power of the human mind is infinite, and certainly is no respecter of persons. It has been proven scientifically over and over again that we all have the potential to use our minds to create or do something legendary, despite our backgrounds and limitations. We all have the ability to imagine and give life to an original idea. This is true because we're all spiritually divine, with supernatural power resting inside of us. Unfortunately, however, many of us fail to use this power for one reason or another. We fail to look within because we're too busy looking without, trying to find the next best thing that will help us get rich, lose weight, or find a romantic partner. Some of us believe that just because we don't have a formal education, we can never accomplish anything great. Although some of the world's greatest legends have had very little to no formal education, such as American industrialist Henry Ford, who dropped out of school following the 8th grade, or the great inventor Thomas Edison, who was expelled from school because his teachers thought that he was too dumb to learn. Imagine that. See, no matter how you try to flip it, toss it, or turn it, the truth is we all have the ability to accomplish extraordinary things with the help of our mind. It all comes down to the question of whether we believe this to be true, whether we're willing to give up all excuses that have held us back, and whether we're willing to persevere. Einstein once said, "It's not that I'm so smart, I just stay with problems longer." In the case of John Nash, it was his persistence that led to his award-winning accomplishment. As a PhD candidate at Princeton, he started out by not going to class and performing below the standard expected of him.
John, you haven't focused.
I'm sorry, but up to this point, your record doesn't warrant any placement at all. Good day.
He was told that it was unlikely that he'd receive a recommendation in support of employment following graduation. Nevertheless, he was not deterred. He worked with persistence in pursuit of his original idea, never doubting for a moment that he would find it. Well, he found it. And from that one original idea, which shook up economic theory, John Nash was awarded the top employment placement following graduation and later won the Nobel Prize. All this, mind you, amidst a life that was driven by fear, fantasy, and delusion.
Old, worthless, discarded. There's no mission. And while you rock and drool, the world will burn to ashes. You are not real. You are not real. You're still talking to me, soldier. There's no mission. I'm not a soldier. John. Hey, John, it's okay.
Nash's life was rocky, to say the least. He was committed to a mental hospital for a period of time and struggled with medications that would drain him of energy. Yet, he carried on. He fought, and although we can't say that he completely overcame his delusions, they were no longer a force that hindered his ability to live a productive, healthy life.
I am crazy. I take the newer medications. But I still see things that are not here. I just choose not to acknowledge them. Like a diet of the mind, I choose not to indulge certain appetites.
Indeed, schizophrenia was no excuse for Nash, which makes the story of his life so beautiful. And while it's easy for us to look from the outside in on such a story about mental illness, the truth is, just as we all have a beautiful mind, we also all suffer from schizophrenia. Let me now tell you how. Schizophrenia is generally defined as a disorder that affects a person's ability to think, feel, and behave clearly due to some attachment to a fantasy and delusion. If we ask ourselves, have I ever suffered from an inability to think, feel, and behave clearly due to some fantasy or delusion of my mind? The answer will invariably be yes. That is, of course, unless you've never had a moment of worry in your life. You see, to worry is a form of schizophrenia, albeit a minor version. Whenever we worry, we are allowing an imaginary event that is yet to happen to replay over and over in our minds. This imaginary event stirs up fear and anxiety inside of us. And in many cases, the thing we are worrying about never even comes to pass. Yet, so many of us are plagued by worry on a daily basis, trapped in our minds, interacting with a fantasy, running from a delusion that's not even real.
You are not real. You are not real. You're still talking to me, soldier.
Yes, to worry is a minor version of schizophrenia, and we all suffer from it. Jesus teaches that we are not to worry about anything, nor are we to let our hearts be troubled. Instead, we are to have faith and know that all is well. The Buddha likewise teaches that to worry is to suffer, that we worry because we have this insatiable need to be able to predict what lies ahead in the future. We should learn to embrace uncertainty, as this will eliminate the need for worry. We should simply be present in the here and now, forgetting the events of yesterday and not worrying about the possibilities of tomorrow. All we ever have is right now. It was this truth, the power of now, that gave John Nash the power to defeat his struggle with schizophrenia. It gave him the power to embrace the truth that despite his shortcomings in life, he had a beautiful mind that could be used to accomplish something extraordinary. You also have a beautiful mind that can be used to create or do something that has never been done before. You must simply be willing to overcome your limitations in life and embrace persistence in whatever it is you want to accomplish. More and more people are doing it every day. And whatever it is that you have to give in service to others, rest assured, someone is in need of it.